Something only of interest to me, although I have talked about it on other videos. Basically only of interest to me. In December 1982, I stayed in Switzerland, La Tour de Paix, on the shores of Lake Geneva, Lac Leman, with a man whose name I understood to be Harry Ely. I had never met him until I got there. I had no idea how the invitation had come about. But after the year that I had, I wasn't going to pass up a week's holiday, or was it 10 days or whatever, in Switzerland. And as I have said, I think, on some previous video, it was delightful. Days of sightseeing and evenings playing Machiavelli and looking through scrapbooks. Well, an FB memory came up today, which reminded me that I had checked out, in the recent past, Harry Ely's birth date. Now, he was coming up for 63 in 1982. And in those days I was interested in the zodiac, and I had ascertained that he was Capricorn, which meant that roughly his birthday fell between December 22nd and January 22nd, roughly. Well, I didn't get anywhere finding a birth entry for Harry Ely until I remembered that Harry is often a shortening of Henry and something else, I forget what, Harold, of course, but Henry as well. And I found the perfect fit. A December 1919 entry, 63 in 1982, in Southampton, my home city. After that, I assumed that I'd got the invitation through my parents, that they must have known him somehow. But I also, for some reason, checked out his mother, which, of course, is easy to do. The mother's maiden name was given as Louis. So then you look up at the marriage, and you get a first name, which was Letitia. I actually remembered him mentioning that she was called Letitia, because to me at that time it was quite an unusual name. But here's the thing. Today I went a little further. Check back again. Most extraordinary thing, just one of those weird coincidences, I suppose, was that a person of the same name, Harriet Lewis, as she was before marriage, married here in Aberystwyth in the same quarter of the same year. It just seemed a little odd. What I hadn't checked out was when his mother died. And I remember how he spoke of his mother, i.e., he was extremely fond of her, extremely close to her. But I did think it was something a little odd, because he said he continued to, he'd cared for her until she died, he said, and then continued to receive letters for her, which, by his own account, he returned unknown address, returned to heaven or hell, whatever. Yeah, that seemed slightly strange for someone who'd been so close to her. But what seems even stranger is that Letitia Ely, as she became on marriage, died when Harry Ely was 3.5 years old. This means either I have the wrong Harry Ely, although it was such a perfect fit, same mother's name, born in Southampton, right quarter, right ear. Either I have the wrong Harry Ely, or that wasn't his name. I have gone over this in my mind before. I have wondered if, in point of fact, There are so many possible reasons why he might have wanted to meet a total stranger, I suppose. It wasn't for sex. He wasn't interested in sex. He wasn't well enough for sex. I know the feeling. If he only wanted company, which was what he told me, he could have bought it in Switzerland. He was as rich as Croesus. He could have bought any company he wanted for as long as he wanted. Paid for a carer, anything. Got somebody from the from La Tour de Paix. Plenty of people spoke fluent English, as far as I recall. Those were the days, to be honest, when English people weren't really required to learn the language when they went abroad, because everyone spoke English. I always did it as a courtesy. I always had at the very least, a phrase book with me if I didn't know the language. But he did not need to pay for company all the way from England. So I've gone through, well, maybe the deal was I would be his carer, I would stay there permanently, my parents would then get my daughter. Maybe that was the deal they'd come to between them. Maybe I was a courier for Christ knows what, travelling on the magic bus, who's going to suspect me? That was the weirdest thing. He was so rich. He lived in this opulent apartment right on the shores of Lake Geneva. The balcony running around the building. You could have dived off it into the lake. And the furnishings. Jesus, I dread to think what they were worth. So it seemed a little odd that he had made me travel on the magic bus, not by plane. If you've got that much money and you're going to entertain a complete stranger for that long, On the other hand, I do know that rich people do tend to be tight with money. Strange thing. Magic bus. What opportunities did it present? Well, the driver, that a fellow traveller described as a Nazi, took our luggage off us, all of it, the minute we got on, and stowed it in the luggage compartment, including food and drink. After 6 hours at Lyon, I'm afraid I led the charge to the luggage compartment, with the American who'd called him a Nazi hot on my heels. And I have wondered if that upset some kind of, exchange or something. God only knows. I don't know how these things work. The last possibility, which is really hard, because I can't get away from the fact that I resemble my father, Desmond alias Dick Oakley, in many ways, including having inherited bad physical genes and various other things, long limbs. You can't really tell anyone. You could when I was young and slim. Very long limbs. My mother used to say his arms were so long that he could have been a chimpanzee or something. She was right. Anyway, I resemble my father. I can't get away from that. Otherwise, my third option had been to think that, perhaps, I was Harry Ely's daughter. I don't know where the F I came from. My mother didn't know when I had polio, for God's sake, which you'd think a mother might know that, when it happened, how long it lasted. She didn't know anything about it. It was weird. So there again, either I didn't have it, or I popped into the picture around about the time my brother first remembers, i.e. when I was 4, and he was 11. So various options regarding my parentage have occurred to me. I thought, well, maybe I was Harry Ely's daughter and he just wanted to meet me. And this is where I come to, what if his name was not Harry Ely? Because the story you told me about his mother just does not add up. She died when he was 3.5. He could not have looked after her well into her old age. She didn't have one. I think she was 36 or something when she died. And what was the year? 1923? Something like that. And I'm talking about 1982. So, granted that, probably there were other Harry Ely's born, would they also have had mothers called Letitia? Anyway, forget that for a minute. I'm wondering again about this close relationship between the two alias de Coakley's, the two men with the same alias that I've talked about over and over, because I want to solve these mysteries before I kick the bucket. Could Harry Ely, in point of fact, have been Herbert Frederick Oakley, the one who kicked off on the 6th anniversary of Fiona's death, with the alias of Dick Oakley appended to him? Well, he was the right age. December 1/4 1919. Birth also applies to Herbert Frederick Oakley, alias Dick Oakley. So, two little more conundrums have come up today, not least that the polio thing came up again. How could my mother possibly not remember an illness that struck terror into the hearts of normal parents? How could she possibly not remember the dates and the details of that?